Charter Flight Network, Canada's leading air charter marketing and quote request service, is pleased to present this video, featuring travel options to Cabot Cape Breton Golf Resort from Sydney, Nova Scotia. If you are looking for one of the quickest and most cost-efficient travel options to the Cabot Links Golf Resort, consider Sydney, Nova Scotia. Sydney, Nova Scotia is located on the northeastern coastline of Cape Breton Island and is just 50 air miles from the Cabot Golf Resort. This video provides details on how to fly to Sydney from both Canadian and U.S. departure points, as well as the 3 transportation options available from Sydney to Cabot Cape Breton. Whether you are flying from Canada or the USA, all flights to Sydney will first stop in Montreal, Quebec, where passengers will take a connecting Air Canada flight to Sydney. If you are flying from the USA, you will clear Canadian customs upon arrival in Montreal. Canadian passengers can fly non-stop to Montreal from Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, Toronto, and Ottawa. U.S. passengers can fly non-stop to Montreal from Boston, Chicago, New York, Newark, and Washington. We suggest you choose an airline and a flight that will arrive in Montreal no later than 11 a.m. Eastern Time, as your connecting flight to Sydney departs at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You will connect with Air Canada Flight AC 8094, which departs Montreal at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The flight time to Sydney averages 1 hour and 50 minutes, arriving Sydney at 3:50 p.m. Atlantic Time. Upon arrival in Sydney, you have 3 transportation options to the Cabot Golf Resort. Option number 1, helicopter charter. The helicopters available out of Sydney are operated by Breton Air and will seat up to 4 passengers with light baggage and clubs. The Cabot Golf Resort is 50 air miles west of Sydney, with an average flight time of 20 minutes. The round-trip cost for the helicopter is $8,740 Canadian funds, including the 15% tax and fees. If you are traveling from the U.S. and want to know the cost in U.S. dollars, the following is an estimate, as the Canadian-U.S. exchange rate fluctuates daily. Based on an exchange rate of 1.38%, this would equal about $6,333 U.S., including all taxes and fees. If you would like to reduce transportation costs, you also have the option of taking the helicopter to the Cabot Golf Resort when you arrive, and then taking the passenger van service back to Sydney on your day of departure. The round-trip cost for this combination service is $5,205 in Canadian funds, including all taxes and fees. If you are traveling from the U.S. and want to know the cost in U.S. dollars, we can provide an estimate, as the Canadian-U.S. exchange rate fluctuates daily. Based on an exchange rate of 1.38%, this would equal about $3,770 U.S., including all taxes and fees. Option number 2, passenger van shuttle. There is an 8-passenger shuttle van service in Sydney that operates on demand. Drive time to the Cabot Golf Resort averages 2 hours. The round-trip cost for the passenger van service is $1,975 in Canadian funds, including all taxes and fees. If you are traveling from the U.S. and want to know the cost in U.S. dollars, we can provide an estimate, as the Canadian-U.S. exchange fluctuates daily. Based on an exchange rate of 1.38%, this would equal about $1,431 in U.S. dollars, including all taxes and fees. The cost of the van service can be divided among the number of passengers in your group. Travel option number 3, car rental. The third and final travel option from Sydney to Cabot Cape Breton is arranging rental car service. There is a selection of national brand rental car options available at the Sydney Airport. For your convenience, we have provided links to rental car options on our Sydney website page. If you choose this option, you should make your car reservations well in advance to ensure availability. If you are interested in booking either the helicopter or the passenger van service, please let us know your scheduled travel dates. We will then put you in direct contact with Breton Air or other service provider. You will then confirm all your travel details, scheduling, and payment arrangements directly with the service provider of your choice. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Please let us know if we can be of further assistance in planning your transportation options to Cabot Cape Breton.